Like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week. We all hope that no one has to end up in a situation where they must beg for food and money, but it happens. And when it's legitimate, it's good to have compassion to help people out. Also, sadly, beggars have been a part of societies across the world for as long as people have been around. However, not all beggars actually need to beg to stay alive. Some people are professionals at it, raking in more money than we make at our jobs. They have entire characters, scripts, and props prepared to share their sob story with others. It's shocking but true. This makes it hard for people who want to help others actually do so, which just makes things even harder for those that actually need help. Those that are insincere beg for reasons, including not wanting to deal with a real job, like the rest of society does. Today, we are going to talk about 10 fake beggars and how they were exposed. Number 10. Scam with hidden legs. There was once a beggar on the streets of northwest China who'd found a very creative technique to trick people. He'd drag himself along the streets on skateboard-like gear. The man appears to have no legs, only able to move about using his arms. But appearances can be deceiving. By pure happenstance, a man saw the so assumed legless beggar boarding a bus, having 2 functioning legs. When he realized it was the same beggar, he was stunned. It was even more shocking when the man pulled down the beggar's trousers to reveal his fully functional legs. What the beggar did was simply fold his legs under his clothes. He could walk as well as anyone else. That must have been humiliating to be exposed, but it's hard to sympathize with him. Not to mention the video went viral that exposed his dishonesty. Number 9. Fake disability. Very similar to the previous point, pretending to be disabled is a classic favorite tactic of beggars that's very effective, because kind-hearted people are more willing to help those with physical disabilities. In many cases, though, the disabled beggars are faking it. They're fully capable of hearing, speaking, and even running. A potential positive, though, is that a lot of these fakers are eventually discovered by the police or the public. This video shows a disabled man in Karachi, Pakistan, who relies on public kindness to get through his days. But he's not actually disabled. Initially, the man was fine showing off how difficult it was to walk, but the reporter questioning him began to bother him, as they were clearly investigating him. When the man's walking stick was taken away, he worked through some false tricks to sell the illusion that he was disabled, but that didn't work either. The reporter caught him having a comfortable ride on a bus and walking along with no problem at all. How ridiculous. Number 8. Fifth Avenue beggar. Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, New York is a major thoroughfare. It's known for its luxury jewelry and clothing shops, and also for being a center for scammers. After all, rich people seem to be prime targets, right? The woman in this video was one such scammer, appearing to be old, vulnerable, and disabled. It looks like she's a hunchback. However, a man on Fifth Avenue observing her one day noticed she was doing something potentially suspicious. Every time someone would put money in her cup, she'd empty it into a handbag, so it would always appear like no one was giving her money. As she was suspicious, he followed her activities for a while, noting she got $50 to $500 on a good day. After sunset, the journalist followed her, observing her getting into a minivan. When she emerged, he was surprised. A young, healthy woman came out, but when he asked her about the scam the following day, she brushed it aside like it was no big deal. What gall! Number 7. Beggar of Kentucky. We all know what actors make because their salaries are public information. But what about occult actors? The ones that use their acting skills to scam people out of their money. That's just what Gary Hank Thompson from Kentucky, USA pleaded guilty of after he was caught in the act. While collecting benefits, he was discovered to be slowing his speech and stuttering as if he was mentally unwell. This was all fake, though. From his act, he'd scammed around $80,000 from people for medical benefits over many days, and it's estimated he made almost $100,000 per year using this bogus character. That's a huge amount of money, but ultimately, his cunning backfired. He was sent to prison. Number 6. Mercedes-Benz beggar. beggar. At first, people felt sorry for this pregnant woman, who was seen outside a San Diego shopping center asking for money. But people's minds began to change when someone revealed that the beggar woman would step into a Mercedes-Benz when she was done begging for the day. After some investigating, it was also discovered that the Swiss Mercedes was registered to a $2,500 income a month address. Yet, even after all that, the woman was seen begging again. However, this time she'd given birth, so was holding a baby, asking for money at the same location as before. The video of her climbing into her fancy car has been viewed millions of times since then, all around the world. What a shameless woman. Number 5. Fake homeless man. As with previous fake beggars, another panhandler attempting to scam people for money was recorded and caught in his act. He'd hold a sign stating he was homeless and needed money, but when his day was done, he'd return home. The person that discovered the farce informed the Vale family, a YouTube channel, and then they carried out some impressive detective work. They tracked the man down and recorded him begging. Then they went to his rather large house, where he also had a new car. When confronted by the Vale family, the man looked surprised. He claimed he had no idea what the YouTube team was talking about, but the man had been previously captured on video. In the video, he was dressed similarly, so it was pretty much proven that it was him. Number 4. PhD beggar. Dinesh Dwivedi wasn't a typical scam artist like many others. Instead, he was making up a story because he was desperate. Though he was a retired Indian school teacher with a PhD, had a monthly pension of 35,000 rupees or $500 and a job, he was still begging on the streets of Jaipur for money. Why? Because his child became a drug addict and stole his money. His son also frequently beat him. For that reason, he was begging, desperate for money. After people learned of his story, they banded together to help him. Number 3. Highway widow. Usually, when people see an elderly person begging on the side of the road, they usually want to help them. Something in the human brain causes us to feel more sympathetic towards the elderly and little children. So was the case with a 78-year-old woman in this video holding a sign, claiming to be in need of money. Many people did give her money, but it wasn't until a man named Daniel noticed her counting the money in a car that she was caught. He asked her, "If you have a car, then why are you begging for money?" But she didn't respond, instead becoming angry and trying to slap a YouTuber who confronted her about it. Once again, this story only shows that a person can't be too cautious of anyone begging for money. It may be best to steer them to a homeless shelter or give them food, but not your money. Number 2. Bogus beggar revealed by goat. Nature played quite a role in exposing this fake beggar in quite a curious series of events. An older man was sitting on a dusty sidewalk with a bowl, hoping people passing by would feel sorry for him, as he was disabled. His scam was progressing fine until a troublesome goat approached him. Yes, the cunning creature saw right through his act and started playing a game with the beggar by repeatedly bumping into him. Eventually, the man had to leap up and fight back as the goat continued to bother him. Of course, breaking character is a big deal, and after, the man didn't have any issues standing up. Unfortunately for him, the revealing incident was caught on camera. Number 1. A begging syndicate. Most of us have heard the term syndicate, usually in reference to part of a political or gangster system. But have you heard of a beggar syndicate? They do exist. One of the largest ones is in Melbourne, Australia, and it's far more sophisticated than you'd think at first glance. To start, the members are from China, which requires a hefty amount of paperwork and money, as they've been trained to scam the public. When the police did confront them, many of them had passports and tourist visas. The operation, according to the police, was unlike anything they'd ever seen before. The investigation all began, too, when some people became worried that some of the beggars were becoming aggressive when police seized their goods. From that, they discovered a large sum of money. The bottom line of all these points is, sadly, to never trust a beggar at face value. That is all for today's video. Thank you all for watching. While you're here, go ahead and click on one of these 2 videos on your screen. See you there.